What's going on, guys? My name is Zana. For those of you guys who are new on this channel, I'm a software designer, and my goal ever since I started this platform, it's been to help you learn a thing about design and life. Today in this video, I'm here to talk about the new logo from YouTube. Not this one, yeah, but this one. Most of you guys are not familiar with this YouTube Studio logo. The difference between these two platforms is essentially this is for people to consume content, and YouTube Studio was designed for creators to be able to monitor and analyze their content on the platform YouTube. And today in this video, we are talk about this icon from YouTube, and this video is going to be broken down in 4 chapters. Chapter number 1, we'll get to talk about the timeline of this logo. When was it first introduced till up to date when we're reviewing this new icon. In chapter 2, we'll get to review the entire identity system. We'll get to talk about the architecture. How does this new logo fit into the YouTube architecture? So chapter 3, I'll get to share the story after analyzing this icon. What is the story behind it? And chapter 4, I'll get to share my design thoughts, more of a review and critique of this new icon. And the goal there is to show you what I'm thinking about the icon. So let's get in right away. So before I talk about like the YouTube Studio logo, I want to take you back in time when YouTube made a decision to change their signature logo to something fresh and new. So in 2017, YouTube rebranded its signature logo, this logo, to this logo. And it was after this rebrand that we saw this iteration for YouTube Studio. Like when you look at the lookup, it was just the icon, the word YouTube, and Studio at the end. So I think a year later, that is 2018, YouTube made a decision to compress the entire, lookup from the icon, YouTube, and Studio into something that is a bit simpler, which was the icon and Studio. So these are 2 versions so far. 2018 and 2017. Now going into the future, YouTube decided to introduce a mobile application for YouTube Studio, and already you can tell that they had to figure out a way of representing 2 different products in the same smartphone. Like if you have YouTube Studio, you wouldn't confuse YouTube Studio with YouTube, so that needed a separate identity, and I think that gave birth to this cog icon. Most of you guys are familiar with this, and I think this icon has been around for some good time, and that marked 2017 to 2020 when YouTube just released this new update. So from 2017 all the way to 2021, YouTube was just rebranded from this to this icon, which is the new thing. So now that out of the way, let's talk about the visual identity, chapter 2. Yeah, so most of these aspects I've touched on in chapter 1, but I just want to really drill on like how this really fits into the YouTube architecture. So one thing I understand about this architecture after just really analyzing it, there is one common aspect that flows all the way through all these brand identities. If you check out all the other applications from YouTube, say YouTube Kids and whatnot, you realize like it's that play button or that play icon that always sticks around. And I think it's important, like for that kind of like approach, I feel like YouTube has went a mile to own this icon, which is a good thing for branding and always like having that consistent flow in every product you release. Now about the shape, I'm actually not sure about the shape because as I mentioned, like I made a tweet previously, I think a week ago, and my intent was like I preferred the cog icon, but then I understand the urge of separating the logo from just an icon, because if you're a UI UX designer, you're familiar that cog icon represents settings in in the interface world. And I think YouTube needed to clear that confusion that this is not a settings icon, this is a logo we are using. And that's why I think they made this decision to rebrand. But besides that, I feel like this is consistent. When you look at the entire identity system, I think someone won't mistake this icon for any other thing apart from YouTube. So now moving on to the brand story. So understanding the meaning and story of these new logos, there are 2 ways of doing that. One, you could just maybe analyze the the form or the shape and scale it back to what that shape symbolizes. I think that is a safe way to do it. And we've seen that most of the designers use it, but I think the other fold is more of like you trying to understand what the meaning is, maybe coming from the old logo. They might have changed the old logo to a new logo, but maybe retain the story. And I feel like that is the dimension I wanted to approach this in, like try to understand what does this mean compared to what the previous one meant. And as I mentioned, like the previous logo was a cog, I mean, like if you don't know cog, it's that like setting icon, more like a gear related like kind of thing. Yeah, so understanding that this is a cog, I was trying to play within the same space, trying to understand what could be the closest thing that represents settings in the cog space. And I started doing some like visual, analysis, and I came across the nut. Like if you guys are familiar with the nut screw, like it has that like, shape that that shows you like you can open and close, you can adjust and do all that, fun stuff using the spanner to, open this nut that has the hexagonal shape. So now moving on to that part where I get to share my thoughts, more of a design critique on this new logo. But before we do that, I just want to, spend a moment and welcome you if you're new on this channel. My name is Zana, and I'm a brand product designer. That's what I do for a living. And I'm self-taught. Like everything about me is self-taught. I learned by myself. And if that intrigues you, just get and subscribe. And also don't forget to smash that like button and let me know what you think about this new logo from YouTube in the comment section. If you have a different story compared to mine where I think that also this means settings, you can just let me know what you think in the comment section. What is the story that this new icon holds? But yeah, let's get to that part where we talk about my thoughts. What do I think about the icon? Because I feel like most of you guys have watched all the way to, see what I think about it. So let's get into it. So comparing this icon to the previous icon, I already have a bias because I already made a tweet and I shared my opinion that I like the previous version a little bit more. But besides that, all the things I've touched on, this logo holds on well. Like when you look at the brand architecture, it's consistent. It holds that, play button, which almost every other logo does. So besides that, I don't like the idea of a shape within a shape. And what I mean by that is having that stroke within the hexagon. Like I feel like it just takes away from the logo instead of just, adding something that would, help the logo stand out. And I know like this is a language they borrow from like YouTube music, where they have a circle and then a circle stroke within, which I mean, like I feel like even that for me doesn't look nice for a logo. So I feel like they could even play safe and just go on using random shapes. As long as there is a play button within that shape, like it still holds as like an icon for YouTube. So looking at that dimension without the stroke in the shape and then with the stroke in the shape, I feel like this is a bit more simpler and it's something that maybe everyone would relate to as a YouTube logo instead of this. So that is my design critique, but that is my opinion. I don't want to say that it should be like this. I feel like always there is a lot of strategy that goes into coming up with something like this. But as a designer, like design can be that perfect. Like it always there is room to improve something. So yeah, that's it for this video. I hope you guys found value. I hope you guys learned a thing or two. And I'm really excited to have you. If you're new, just get and subscribe. Don't forget to share this video and maybe like let everyone know about this new rebrand. Like if it speaks to you, if you learn a thing, just share the video and don't forget to let me know what you think about this new rebrand from YouTube. Do you think that they have just ruined the previous logo, or you feel like this new logo can, can lead the future? Besides that, I always want to mention that I drink a lot of coffee. If you found value, it won't hurt for you to buy me a cup of coffee. So I'll put a link for you in the description. But besides that, I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.